Ladies and gentlemen of this morning's bulletin, 9:30 local time. We are compelled to use the phrase, emergency warning, for the Caribbean region. The tropical system Melissa, which is still at the threshold of a strong tropical storm, has been and is gathering all the conditions to intensify very rapidly over the next 24 to 48 hours and is likely to become a storm of exceptionally destructive power as it approaches Jamaica, then eastern Cuba, before passing over the Turks and Caicos and the southern Bahamas. Unlike the powerful storms earlier in the season that quickly moved out to sea, Melissa is crawling very slowly, almost stationary, over the extremely warm waters of the central Caribbean, causing rain to pile up and extremely strong winds to potentially cycle over the same area multiple times. In this bulletin, we will sequentially provide the current structure of the storm and its motion, the latest information from the U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, and local meteorological agencies, a model tour, with a frank look at agreements, differences, and reliability, an assessment of specific impacts by area, a geek out corner, explaining why Melissa is moving slowly yet intensifying so quickly, and finally, a practical preparedness package for households, infrastructure, and local authorities. We will also dedicate a brief segment at the end to cover the dangerous thunderstorm band in the southern United States over the next 24 to 36 hours, before concluding with a wish for peace and a prayer for the communities in the storm's path. Melissa is still classified as a strong tropical storm with maximum winds of about 70 miles per hour. However, signals on enhanced infrared, IR, satellite imagery and convective structure analysis show the convective core tightening, with organized spiral bands forming around the low-level center, while a thick, dark cloud shield, an indication of very cold cloud tops, is bulging to the east and northeast of the eye. This asymmetry is not accidental. A west to east oriented upper-level wind shear is still gnawing at the western side of the system, stripping off cloud tops at larger radii to the west and shunting moisture and convection to the eastern half. The result is torrential, repeated downpours slamming Haiti and the eastern Dominican Republic, Hispaniola, driving an hour-by-hour deterioration in landslide and flash flood risks on slopes, valleys, and settlements clinging to mountainsides. The key point to stress early, with Melissa, the most dangerous rains will concentrate east of the storm center, while the most extreme winds concentrate around the eye wall, the wall encircling the low-pressure core. In other words, whether the center of the storm makes a direct landfall or merely scrapes close to shore, severe flooding east of the center can unfold with risk equivalent to a head-on landfall. Regarding motion, Melissa is moving west-northwest at a speed of only about 1 mile per hour, a figure that would startle even seasoned storm trackers. This standing in place, sluggishness increases total rainfall over time because convection is continually fed over the same convergent flow and the same abnormally high sea surface temperatures. Not only does accumulated rainfall rise exponentially, but the storm's inner core also has more time to organize, tighten the radius of strong winds, and deepen its central pressure. Therefore, the inertia toward intensification can be very violent when environmental factors are in phase. The latest NHC warning update this morning shows the entire nation of Jamaica placed under a hurricane warning, the highest level of alert before landfall or before severe hurricane force conditions begin. This means people should not wait until there is information that the center has made landfall to start responding. Hurricane force winds, very heavy rain, dangerous storm surge, and large waves can arrive much earlier, starting Sunday afternoon, night local time, when outer spiral bands and the northern half, eye wall begin to strike the coast. In Haiti, particularly the northwest and the Tiburon Peninsula, as well as in certain areas of the Dominican Republic, various levels of hurricane warnings, watch or high wind alerts are being rolled out, focusing on flood and landslide risks from the eastern rain shield repeatedly striking windward slopes. In Cuba, it is highly likely that within the next 6 to 12 hours, eastern Cuba will be placed under a hurricane warning as Melissa's sharp northward turn becomes clearer. As for the Turks and Caicos and the southern Bahamas, The main impact window will likely fall on Wednesday to Thursday next week, local time. With an expanding hurricane wind field, high waves, storm surge, and heavy rain associated with deep spiral bands ahead of and southwest of the center. Regarding forecast intensity, the NHC currently favors a rapid intensification scenario tonight through early tomorrow morning. With an upgrade from Category 1 hurricane to a major hurricane, Category 3 or higher, within a short time frame. Medium-range forecasts place peak intensity around 155 miles per hour, the ceiling of Category 4, with only a 5 miles per hour increase. Melissa would reach Category 5. Of course, in forecasting practice, estimates can fluctuate depending on reconnaissance aircraft data, internal core oscillations, eyewall replacement cycles, and variations in local shear, but the big picture is very rapid strengthening and maintaining extreme intensity as it approaches Jamaica. It is important to look at models the right way. Each model's strength lies in a specific aspect. Some depict position better. Others capture intensity more faithfully. Therefore, when we say there is high confidence in 24 to 36 hour intensification, that is a synthesis, reconnaissance observations, satellite analysis, shear fields, ocean heat content, OHC, and consensus among specialized hurricane models on the big picture. At the local scale, for example, exactly which point on Jamaica's southern coast will be hammered most by the eyewall, and at what time, we still need close updates every 6 to 12 hours because just a small wobble in steering flow, an eyewall replacement cycle, or a shift in the upper level outflow can nudge the center by a few tens of kilometers, enough to shift the focus of strongest winds and heaviest rain from one parish to another. Now to the most anticipated part, impacts by region. We will go step by step through Jamaica, Hispaniola, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Eastern Cuba, the Turks and Caicos and the Southern Bahamas, and finally the Cayman Islands. Jamaica. The window for strong winds and heavy rain will open early, from Sunday afternoon, night local time, without waiting for the center to fully approach. Peak impacts are expected from Monday night into early Tuesday, mid-Tuesday. Depending on a left-right deviation in track, Jamaica's terrain includes mountain ranges running down the island's spine, as moist marine flow is forced to rise along windward slopes. Rainfall could reach 600 to 900 millimeters, and even exceed 1,000 millimeters on east-southeast facing slopes if the eyewall repeats over the same area due to the storm's slow motion. Regarding winds, central southern and eastern Jamaica face the risk of gusts exceeding 100 to 130 miles per hour, particularly if the northern half of the eyewall sweeps across the coast. Storm surge will be a major concern for low-lying southern and eastern shores. With large waves surge astronomical tide resonating in cycles, bays opening to the south-southeast will be particularly sensitive. Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Hispaniola, even if the storm center does not pass directly over. The eastern rain mass of Melissa will continue crashing into Hispaniola's windward slopes for an extended period. An estimated 400 to 800 millimeters of rain over a wide area is not extreme in the context of a slow-moving storm. Many locations could exceed 800 millimeters in northwest Haiti and in areas where terrain catches the wind. In Hispaniola's high mountain masses, risks of flash floods, landslides, and rockfall will soar. Travel through passes, narrow valleys, and communities perched on slopes will become extremely dangerous. The short, steep river systems in both countries can flip from normal flow to major flood states within just hours, catching residents off guard if they become complacent during brief lulls in rainfall. Eastern Cuba. The main impact window is Tuesday, local time. Depending on the sharpness of the center's northward bend, hurricane-force winds may cover a broad area, with the risk that the eyewall touches or scrapes the easternmost provinces. Rainfall over terraced terrain and east-southeast facing slopes could reach 300 to 600 millimeters. Locally higher if the eye becomes pinned by weak steering flow and moves slowly near the coast. Landslides and debris flows pose a major hazard. while wave action and storm surge along windward coasts can cause deep inundation in lagoons and river mouths. Turks and Caicos, southern Bahamas. Impacts are expected Wednesday to Thursday. In a context where Melissa may weaken slightly due to terrain interaction with Jamaica, eastern Cuba beforehand. But the wind field could expand, meaning stronger winds over a wider area for longer. Very rough seas with multi-meter waves. Do not be complacent if the storm drops a category or 2. A Category 2 storm with a broad wind field can leave consequences no less severe than a Category 3 with a narrower wind field, especially on low islands, coastal urban areas, and tourism, port infrastructure. Cayman Islands. Recent signals are more favorable than some earlier scenarios. However, a shift of just a few tens of kilometers westward in the steering axis would quickly elevate risks of heavy rain and strong gusts. We recommend maintaining high vigilance, completing contingency plans for prolonged power outages, and ensuring safe supplies of water and fuel as per safety guidance. A big question people often ask is, why is Melissa moving so slowly? The answer lies in weak steering currents. In simple terms, the storm is stuck between a loose high-pressure ridge to the north-northwest and the edge of a trough to the northwest, causing mid to upper-level flow components to cancel each other out, failing to push the storm decisively in any direction. This is a loose steering wheel situation. The storm is not being driven westward as quickly as typical trade wind storms. Nor is there yet a strong trough to the west-northwest to hook it north-northeast. When this loose steering persists over waters with extremely high ocean heat content, OHC, the storm has an ideal training ground to tighten its core, drop pressure, and increase wind speed. Once a sufficiently strong trough approaches from the west-northwest, Melissa will begin accelerating northward and then north-northeastward, the phase that takes it across Jamaica, into eastern Cuba, through the Turks and Caicos and the southern Bahamas, and then out to sea. As for, why is the storm intensifying so quickly? There are 3 key points. First, sea surface temperatures, SSTs, are very high, 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, and the warm layer is deep. When hurricane winds churn the ocean, instead of upwelling cold water that would turn off the stove, Melissa is churning up even warmer water, sustaining the flame of convection. Second, upper-level shear is weakening over time. Once shear eases and outflow aloft becomes well distributed, the convective core can close off, moisten deeply, ventilate efficiently, and the storm stands alone as a complete thermodynamic engine. Third, when the inner core is cocooned by rich moisture, eyewall replacement cycles, if they occur in phase with the warm ocean surface, can boost peak winds after each wardrobe change, despite brief instability while a new eyewall forms. Before we move to the preparedness package, we want to emphasize, for residents, a 20 to 30 kilometers shift in the storm track does not change the big decision, if your location is within or right along the edge of a hurricane warning area. Complete preparations within the next 24 to 36 hours. The best time to secure your home. Check your generator, move belongings to higher ground, and set up family communication plans is now, not when winds are already howling over the roof. A practical preparedness package, by timeline. 72 to 48 hours before onset of hurricane conditions. Review evacuation plans if living in low-lying areas, near river mouths, low coastal zones, or areas previously impacted by storm surge. Identify a safe destination, shelter, relatives' home at higher elevation. Reinforce roofs, doors, trusses, secure water tanks, signboards, solar panels, lower or dismantle items that can become airborne. Stock at least 3 days of drinking water per person, about 12 liters, person. Dry foods, flashlights, spare batteries, essential medications, waterproof important documents, ID, passport, insurance. Check the generator and fuel. Prepare a camp stove. Do not run generators indoors, carbon monoxide hazard. 24 hours before onset. Fully charge phones and power banks. Photograph property for potential insurance claims. Set check-in times for family members via SMS, Zalo, WhatsApp in case of power cuts or network congestion. If authorities call for evacuation, do it immediately. Do not wait until the last minute when roads are flooded and winds reach hurricane force. During the storm, stay on the lowest level, in an interior room, away from glass. Have helmets, cushions ready to protect heads. When the eye passes, skies may briefly calm or clear. Do not go outside. The backside of the eye wall will slam back within minutes. After the storm, stay away from downed power lines. Assume they are live. Operate generators in well-ventilated areas. Never use charcoal stoves indoors. For drinking water, boil or use purification tablets before consumption. In landslide-prone zones, wait for a geotechnical safety assessment before returning home. Now a short segment for the southern United States. Over the next 24 to 36 hours, a dangerous weather band will sweep across East Texas, Louisiana, southern Mississippi, Alabama, with risks of severe thunderstorms, damaging gusts, localized heavy rain, and nocturnal mesovortices. Residents are advised to closely follow severe thunderstorm, tornado warnings from the National Weather Service and local broadcasters, especially during evening night hours, when convection can spin up more readily.